The boy sat quietly at the table, his hands flipping through a few crumpled bills, whispering to himself as he counted. He glanced between the menu and his money, his lips moving as he calculated. He had been saving for a while, excited for this small treat. But as he looked at the prices, he hesitated. "Okay," he muttered. "I need to make sure I have enough just in case." Just then, the attendant, a woman in her late 20s, walked over to the boy's table, pen and notepad in hand. She forced a smile, but the sharpness in her voice was clear. "Ready to order yet?" she asked, tapping her foot lightly against the floor. The boy looked up at her briefly, then back at the menu. "Almost," he said quietly, his fingers still flipping through his money as he calculated. The attendant sighed loudly, arms crossed. "Well, whenever you're ready," she muttered, clearly annoyed as she stared at him, her pen tapping impatiently on her notepad. But the boy didn't seem to notice her frustration. His focus was on the numbers, running through his options. After a few more seconds, he finally made up his mind. "I'll have the grilled cheese, please," he said softly, opting for the cheaper choice. It wasn't the meal he had originally wanted, but it fit within his budget. The attendant rolled her eyes, but jotted down the order. "Fine, I'll be back with that," she said curtly, turning quickly to leave without another glance. As she headed back to the kitchen, her colleague whispered, "Another one taking forever?" "Yeah, some people just don't know what they want," the attendant replied with a smirk, loud enough for a few customers nearby to hear. They chuckled softly, but the boy remained focused on his meal plans, unfazed by the conversation. A few minutes later, the attendant returned with the food, setting the plate down with little care. The dish clanged against the table. "Here you go," she said flatly, walking away immediately. The boy glanced down at the simple grilled cheese sandwich. He didn't mind that it wasn't the special meal he had been thinking about. He took a bite, content with his decision, and ate quietly while the restaurant bustled around him. He finished his sandwich and reached for the napkin to wipe his mouth. He stood up and calmly walked out of the restaurant, not paying attention to anything else around him. He didn't look back as he pushed open the door and left. The attendant was busy with other customers and barely noticed when the boy left. A few moments later, she returned to clear his table. She stacked the plate on top of the others, ready to toss the napkin aside when she saw something unusual. Underneath the plate, tucked neatly, was a folded bill. She froze for a moment, unsure of what she was seeing. Slowly, she pulled out the bill and unfolded it, her eyes widening as she realized how much it was. The tip was generous, far more than she had ever expected. Her mind flashed back to how impatient she had been with the boy. She had rushed him, dismissed him, and assumed he wasn't worth her time. But now, standing there with the folded bill in her hand, she realized she had been wrong. The restaurant's noise seemed to fade away as the guilt began to settle in. The boy hadn't been difficult or indecisive. He had simply been careful, thoughtful. And in return for her impatience, he had left her this. Her face flushed as she pocketed the tip. But it wasn't the money that weighed on her. It was the lesson she hadn't expected to learn. Sometimes people are kinder than you realize, and patience can reveal something you didn't see before. The story of the humble boy is a reminder for all of us. Kindness and patience can go a long way. You never know the impact your small actions might have on someone's day, or even their life. So believe, grow, and inspire. Nothing can stop you. This story is to fuel your day. Thank you so much for watching, and stay blessed.